Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Bishop,
Excused.
Mrs. Congdon,
Present.
Mr. Jovian,
Present.
Mr. Lazo,
Present.
Mr. Olivo,
Present.
Dr. Page,
Present.
5 present, 1 excused.
We have a quorum. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Southbridge School Committee meeting, Robert G. McKinnon Council Chamber, Tuesday, September 8th, 2015, 7 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to agenda item number 3, public input. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the school committee? If there's nobody under public input, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Agenda item number 4 we have is a meeting of the minutes, August 25th, 2015 regular, August 17th, 2015 committee of the whole, August 11th, 2015 regular, first reading of the policy file ADF wellness, first reading of policy file BHC, school committee staff communications. Does anybody want any of the items retracted, extracted, and reviewed? If not, we'll move on. Moving on to agenda item number 5, chairman's announcements. Just since we met, the school district opened up and had opening day. I would just like to comment on opening day. It was, I thought it was fantastic. I'd like to commend Mr. Bliss on a job well done with your compassion, leadership, and vision of where the district is going. I think that the staff and the custodial, food service, everybody was just, it was nice to see everybody on the same page going forward. And again, I think everything with the school committee there, and it just looked like a rally for the team this year. And we had opening day, and it was, from what I understand, everybody had hope, optimism, and it was one of the best openings that we've had in 3 or 4 years. So job well done to all the people concerned. Thank you. Moving on to presentations. Number 6, A, field trip request to Virginia Beach, April 2016 by Dr. David Garcia, band director. Superintendent?
Yes. Dr. Garcia, would you like to speak to the proposed field trip? Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. I have my colleague, Mr. Montigny, here, just scolded me for bringing things in the last minute, and I am duly served. I do have a PowerPoint, if you would like to see it. Oh my gosh, this man is amazing. Let me start off by commending Mr. Montigny for pulling stuff off that not a whole lot of people could do. So, I just want to point out that the Southbridge High School Band does serve the community, and it does reflect the success of Southbridge, Massachusetts. 176 Denison Hill Road is where I was married to a Southbridge resident, a family that worked at the AO for years and years. The Lazos and the Bishops and all those kind of people. I'm so proud to be here. I'm so proud to work under Cacase and Earls and those people. They're just awesome. It's a very successful place because of those people. So the Southbridge Band plays at the Festival of Giving Trees every year. They serve at the Southbridge Festival. They do parades and Memorial Day. They have served at the, Mr. Olivo knows about our Wounded Warrior Project. We do the Worcester and the Shrewsbury Parade. We played the football games at graduation. We've gone to the Southbridge Day Rehabilitation Center. We play at the Southbridge Lions, who also support our schools in incredible ways. We've played at the Center of Hope and others that I probably have forgotten. Last year, and I wish Mr. Bishop was here because he was long involved with the Music in the Round, which got to be a little tedious. It was a 3-hour concert that people had to sit through. Well, we turned it into an amazing day-long arts festival that included poetry readings, improvisational acts. Miss Krantz brought the musical production out there. It was just an amazing day, and we turned it into a source of pride for Southbridge. So we learn from all of our performances, and we learn from festival competition. 3 years ago, we got a bronze medal, and everybody goes, "Oh gosh, you took third." No, we took a bronze medal, which means that we were 66% of the way along to excellence. Last year, we improved to a silver rating. Now we're at 85 or 90%. And as I told the kids, good bands get silver ratings at MICA. We stood out in the snow to get our picture taken at that proud day at the MICA Festival in 2015. And 2 years ago, we competed in the Festival, Adjudicated Festival. We received an excellent rating, and it doesn't say it up there, but we were actually first in our division. There's a trophy sitting in the Southbridge Middle High School trophy case. And we did it on grade 2 and 3 literature, so we are not satisfied with that. What we want to do is we want to go back, and we are requesting permission to travel April 14th to the 17th and receive at least the same excellent rating, but with more significant and difficult literature. That's what learning is all about. Take it up a step every time you can and make your kids better, and that makes us better teachers too. Hopefully, the weather will be good in Virginia Beach. You can laugh, that's a joke. Yeah, we're out there in the snow. So, once again, this is us at Virginia Beach with our first place trophy on the beach at Virginia Beach, and we're requesting a lot of considerations. Number one is that we fundraise about 90 or 95% of the funds, $16,000, and those band boosters and the kids get out there and they do a tag day and they do parades, but we need a little bit more in indirect funds, and those are things like buses to parades and trips, and budget for music and things like that. Right now, we're going on borrowed time. Outside of that, that's our request, and we just want to make things excellent for our kids, and we want to just reflect the pride that we have in Southbridge, Massachusetts.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Dr. Garcia, you run a phenomenal program, and I've been so impressed in what I've been able to see in the classroom, as well as be able to hear in the parking lot, even before school began. And you had the students out in the parking lot working out and working on the marching band. So we thank you for building and for sustaining what is really an incredible program. And I'm a firm believer that, these are the only times often in people's lives when they have a chance to try things in the fine arts, be it visual or performing. So thanks for making that available to our students, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Well, we're grateful to be employed. We're grateful to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to 6B, field trip request to London, April 2017, from Miss Krantz, Miriam Krantz, Drama Director. Welcome.
While Ms. Kranz is handing out our paperwork, I'll also remind you, Ms. Kranz is an unsung hero from the 2014-15 school year. So congratulations, Ms. Kranz.
Thank you.
For the record, for Max would be great if he has. Thank you.
One from Mr. Bishop.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and present in front of you. I come here this evening to seek permission to take the drama students, but also the student body at large as well, to England over spring break, April 2017. What I have provided for you is a basic outline of our trip. The trip will be through, or hopefully will be through EF Tours, and I'm not going to run you through every single item. I don't think that that's important, but I do want to highlight some specific things that you're probably going to wonder about. So, first I'd like to start off with why. Why should we take this trip? Well, England, very historical. The theater in England, the theater history in England itself is something that I feel the kids would greatly benefit from, especially those who are interested in studying the performing arts. I have been to England myself. I have done several theatrical activities in England. It was such a beneficial experience to me. I really see the benefits for our students going over there as well. So I want to draw your attention to page 5. This is a day-by-day look at the tour. I apologize for the small print. You might need a magnifying glass. So the first day, we'll actually be traveling. So we'll get there in the evening. It's an overnight travel. So we'll get there, I guess, wee hours of the morning, early morning. And day 2, we will start a tour of London. They'll get to go to museums, they'll go to Buckingham Palace, Big Ben, get to do all these great things. And that's pretty much just day 1, is just kind of getting to know the city. Day 3, they will have another tour of the city, and all of these tours are guided tours. EF Tours provides tour guides through their company, but these individuals, they live in England or whatever the country is that you take a trip to, and they are experts. This is what they do for a living. So on the third day, we will get more, we'll have some more tours, but also we get to see an evening performance in the West End. And the West End is very historical. This is, the Broadway of England. Most shows that come to Broadway in the United States go for a run in the West End as well. So it's very historical. The theaters are very, very old, much older than our theaters, here in the States. And it's just a great experience. So day 4, which I'm really excited about, they get to do a workshop at the BBC, so the British Broadcasting Channel, their organization. So they'll get a tour of the BBC building, as well as take a theater workshop. So if you're not familiar with BBC, this is the network that produces Downton Abbey and other awesome shows like, I think it's Sherlock is also produced through them. And Doctor Who. So these are all shows that a lot of our kids know about. So they get to do a workshop at this facility, and it's all theater-based, it's all acting. And there is also an opportunity to look at the film side of theater. On day 5, it says another tour of London, but instead I have arranged to take an excursion to Stratford-upon-Avon. So they will go to the birthplace of William Shakespeare, they will tour his museum, they will go to his house, they will have an opportunity to speak with historians. His first folio is at the museum in Stratford. It's really cool to see, for the kids to see, this is what some of his original work looked like, which was scribed by, not him, but after he passed away, some of the folks that worked for him. On that same day, when we come back in the evening, we will go to another evening performance. And on day 6, we will spend that day at the Globe Theatre, which is in London. They will attend a workshop there. They'll get a presentation. They'll go to the museum as well. And then on the final day, day 7, we travel home. So it's a 7-day trip, but really 2 of those days are traveling, unfortunately. So they'll have 5 solid days of 4 or 5 solid days of touring and workshops, performances, and I'm trying to arrange for some other theatrical-related activities as well. And I've been working with a lady named Katie Spencer from EF Tours, and she sent me a ton of information. This actually packet is from her. I have flyers and posters because I do want to offer this to the student body at large. I don't think that it should just be theater students. Obviously the theme of the trip is theater related. However, I think going to another country and experiencing another country's culture, albeit an English speaking country, I just think there's something to really be said for exploring, and I think that we do so much more learning when we get those hands-on experiences, and I just really hope that, with your permission, that I can do that and bring that to the students, or bring the students to that. So, further into the packet, it just gives you examples of hotels. And these aren't specifically the places that we might be that we would be staying at. Some of these actually might be, but they will be places like these hotels, as well as sample menus. It's on page 7. And then on page 8, price details. So the total cost for a student, and a student is someone that is under the age of 20, is $3,015. I know that sounds really expensive, but I have been working on, with a lot of the students who are interested in going, we've been brainstorming ideas to fundraise to offset the cost. Because this trip is so far out, there is lots of time for the students to fundraise and to save their own money should they really want to attend this trip. Parents are also more than welcome to attend. The rate for the parents is a couple $100s more than the rate for the student, and that's also listed on this page. One thing that I really like about EF Tours is they have a peace of mind program. So if anything happens, students get a refund. It's not like 100% refund, but it's the majority of their money back. Also, if they lose, if their luggage doesn't show up, or if something happens, there are systems in place and protocols in place to make sure that the kids have a smooth trip. So should something arise. I guess I'll field questions now.
Are there any questions? Joe?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair, to Ms. Kranz. Is this going to, I know you said it'll be offered to all the students. Will it also be offered to, is it middle school, high school, or both?
So it's going to be, so this year I'm offering it to 8th graders through 12th graders because the 8th graders will be freshmen in the year that we go. So it is a high school specific trip. I wouldn't be opposed, I guess, to taking middle school students, but I guess I prefer to just keep it high school. I think that the age group, the closer in age they are, the better it is, not just for me, but also for them as well. And I also don't know how comfortable parents would be sending their middle school children off to across the pond. So I know there was a teacher, Mr. Matusco, he took some students to I believe it was Costa Rica, no, I'm sorry, it was Spain. But it was a very small group, and it was just, middle school. So it's a little bit different. But since I'm going to have high school students, I just don't think that it would be appropriate to mix the middle school and high school, especially since we're overnight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Jovan?
It's a very good proposal. Thanks for, I'm glad that you put it out so far in advance that it gives a lot of time for parents to prepare and students to prepare. Is there a certain limit on how many students you're going to take?
So right now, the suggested amount of students is 30, suggested like top of the, the cap would be like 35. We can certainly go over that. As a first-time leader, I don't feel comfortable taking more than 35. Obviously, there are chaperones to go. And one of the great, actually, just a side note, so EF Tour, since I am a first-time leader, as soon as I have 6 students sign up, they're actually going to send me overseas on like a mock training they're going to allow me to pick a country. I'll probably pick something over in Europe because it'll be the closest to where I would be taking the students. And it's like 3 or 4 days where they train me on, what happens when when you have to take the subway somewhere, making sure all the kids get on the subway, or what happens if someone loses their ID, and all these like what ifs that could happen. But with that being said, as a first-time leader, I would not feel comfortable taking more than 35, and that's the suggested cap, but we can certainly take more.
And I guess as a follow-up question to that, is there a certain number of other adult leaders that you would want with you? I mean, have you thought about that?
Yes. So for every 6 students, they recommend an adult chaperone. So I have approached a few colleagues of mine who I've worked with very closely on the theater program. I feel that I should offer it to them first because they have been by my side for so many years, and it wouldn't be fair to approach other colleagues, but they have expressed interest, so I do have adults who would like to attend. I also have another colleague, a former colleague from years ago, she actually lived in England for several months, and she's taken her students twice to England, and she said if I would be comfortable, she would be more than happy to attend with us because she's experienced, she's gone before, and so she's absolutely an option. But parents could also serve as chaperones, but parents would have to pay for their way, unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I do. I just have a couple questions real quick.
Sure.
First off, I like the presentation. I like the time frame because it does a lot for passports and getting everything in order. My question with the training, with everything that's going on in the world, terrorist-wise or whatnot, I want to know what kind of training is included in that, to that effect, so that we can make sure our children are safe, because in some of those areas it is a hot spot even.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of the training does include, what if, hypothetically, a natural disaster or man-made were to occur. And I can't give you specifics on that right now, but it's definitely a great question, and it's something that I had already written down that I would like to know, because obviously the last thing I want is for something horrendous to happen, and I'm responsible for these lives, and I would never want to put my students in jeopardy. So I will get back to you on that question, because it's a question that I have as well. And I do know that the training does address that. But to what extent and how, I can't answer that. But as soon as I do find out, I will absolutely let you know.
And just a suggestion, some kind of training for our children that do decide to go, a heads up, an idea of a situational awareness, if you will, of activity that has gone on in the area, that has happened. Not saying that there's a whole lot, but there has been things that have happened in London. So to give our children situational awareness and give them a heads up so that in case something does happen, they're prepared and they're not running frantically, just not knowing what to do. They can collect themselves and be able to regroup with each other and work through those things. That's the kind of things that I would like to see.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know, maybe at the Southbridge Police Department, I don't know if they have any sort of like tools, or if you know someone I can reach out to.
I actually do. So
okay.
We can talk offline.
Yeah, I would love to bring you or someone else in to do that.
I'll push that to the superintendent, and that way he can come out to it.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Dr. Page?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you have an idea how many students have expressed interest at this point?
At this point, I've had 13 students express interest.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
Jill.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, just a follow-up question. I was just looking at our international travel policy, and I know you said that there's the EF's Peace of Mind program, and I did see the global travel protection. Just on our policy, it says the trip insurance must be purchased for all international trips. Where is the insurance portion in the pricing detail? Is that included, or is that a separate fee?
The Peace of Mind program, it says it's free, but I believe it's sort of wrapped up into the cost. I will double check with them just to make sure, because it is an excellent question. But, oh, I'm so sorry. Nope, it's listed right here. The Peace of Mind program is free. Well, it's wrapped up in the cost, but the global travel protection is $155, so that's part of the cost.
Okay, and that would be the insurance?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
If I may, Mr. Chair. Ms. Kranz, just with respect to that, and to Mr. Oliva's point, if catastrophically something were to happen a week before the trip, what kind of protections do we have around canceling, God forbid something should happen?
Yeah, so that's where the Peace of Mind and the global travel protection, they come in to play there, where the students, what would happen is we could reschedule the trip. That's one option. Or if that is not an option available to us, then the students would receive a refund, and it's not 100% because there is like a fee for planning and stuff, but they would get the majority of their money back, and that's all in like the contractual paperwork. I guess the next step here is within the next, week or two, I will hold a meeting with parents, and the representative from EF Tours would come, and all of the fine print, that is what we go over at that meeting, because we want to make sure that, when parents do give their children permission, they realize that there might be a small financial risk should something happen, but EF Tours will do their best to reschedule the trip so that everyone could still attend, and also, the cost of the trip would not vary if something like that were to happen.
And the other, thank you for that. And would be happy, myself or Mr. Latoya, to look at the language in that contract just to make sure, because sometimes with these tour companies, think constitutes due concern may be different than what we as parents here may consider that to be a concern. The other is, please just make sure that all of the adults going on the trip undergo all of our background checks.
Oh, yeah,
without
absolutely.
saying. And is there any school time that will be missed as a result of this trip?
Nope, so we would leave on that Saturday of spring break, so that first Saturday, the first weekend, and then we would return the following. So no school time would be missed.
Thank you, Ms. Kranz.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further questions? If not, I would just like to thank you for still having all your energy and enthusiasm that you've always had in past years.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to reports. Agenda item number 7, Budget Finance Subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Budget and Finance Subcommittee meeting was held on Thursday, August 20th, 2015 in room M100 at Cole Avenue. Representatives of Malink, the solar energy company, negotiating with the town to put solar power generation equipment on several town properties, including school properties and property, presented their proposal, school buildings and property. This was for informational purposes at this time, and since the proposed contract is under review by the town, the subcommittee took no action regarding recommendations to the full committee. Pertaining to the best use of capital funds appropriated by the Town Council for science textbooks, discussion involved the need for instructional materials centered on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Math and Science Department heads presented their immediate instructional material needs to match the curriculum around Massachusetts Common Core standards, as well as the emerging national next generation science standards. The athletic director presented the budgetary impact of recommended changes to the fall sports schedule for fiscal year, academic year 2016. So in summary, actions taken by the school committee referencing those discussion items. We had a motion, and these were approved actions of motions that were forwarded to the full committee. Motion to acquire 130 active chemistry textbooks to the full school committee. A motion to acquire 210 active physics textbooks to the full school committee. And a motion to allow Mr. Swenson, the math department head, to prepare a proposal for the school committee with hardcover textbook needs for the mathematics program at each course level. A motion to add 1 athletic coach position to accommodate changes in the FY16 fall sports programs as recommended by the athletic director. All of those motions were approved by the subcommittee and forwarded to the full committee. In addition, per request of the chair, as the chair of the school committee, as the chair of the budget and finance subcommittee, I presented my general goals for the subcommittee for the near future at a town council education and human services subcommittee meeting on October 2nd, 2015. This was an informal meeting, and these represent my immediate goals for the subcommittee, and the goals as agreed upon by the full committee will be established at a future meeting. In general, just for communication purposes, my immediate goals are to establish the budget development process and time schedule for this year, which includes a bottom-up budget building process that is all tied to educational outcomes. Analysis of running prior year comparisons of budget versus actual expenditures per line item, and also to rationalize line items to correct some of the historical inaccuracies that we have become aware of. In addition to that, establishing a capital improvement plan, including short and long-term planning needs, up to approximately about a 5-year plan going out for capital needs of the district. In addition, to study the utilization of technology-driven instructional materials and determine if being used cost-effectively. And these basically include areas of software licenses and relevant usage and how those are tied to educational outcomes. In addition, hardware needs that could potentially be part of the capital improvement plan. In addition to that, investigating areas where sharing resources with the town side can provide cost savings for both the town and school. That's all I really have, other we're in the process of scheduling the next meeting, hopefully for the week of September 21st, 2015. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Page. Moving on to negotiations subcommittee. There's no report at this time. Moving on to policy. Committee Member Jovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We held a meeting. I do not have the minutes for that meeting yet, and we'll have those for the next meeting. We do have a meeting scheduled on September 16th at 6 p.m. at the superintendent's office. Some of the agenda items, we'll continue to take a look at policies to review them. We did have a parent, just so people know, we did have a parent that did come to our policy subcommittee that was the person that had emailed the school committee about uniforms. We had a nice discussion with her, and her child was actually at the meeting as well. And that is something that we will keep on the radar in the coming year.
Thank you. Moving on to number 4, Superintendent Search Committee. Ms. Condon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Superintendent Search Committee met on August 31st. On that agenda, we reviewed survey and focus group results. We had a total of 966 surveys that were completed by parents, employees, residents, and 762 students of the middle school and high school filled out the surveys, as well as 19 other, mostly former residents or former employees, that compiled surveys. From the surveys, we held where members of the search committee had people fill out surveys at Eastford Road School, Charlton Street School, West Street School, the middle school and the high school open houses, and the senior center, the library, Big Bunny Market on a Saturday morning, and we had online surveys done as well through SurveyMonkey. We and broke it down into the different categories of parents, employees, residents, and students, and other. We received a lot of good responses from these surveys and a lot of feedback. From that feedback, the search committee compiled a job posting and a brochure and a timeline. Those brochures, posting, and that information was placed on School Spring, the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, and the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, as well as the local town website, as well as the school website for candidates to apply. The application deadline for candidates is September 28th at 3 o'clock, and applications are being received, and our next meeting of the Superintendent Search Committee will be September 28th at 7 p.m., where we'll do screening of applications with the committee. And if anyone from the community wanted to look at that posting, that's on our district website, as well as on School Spring with the brochure that we created and the job posting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Moving on to 7B, Student Representative of the School Committee. We do not have one at this time. Moving on to the Finance Director, Bill Latoy.
Good evening. We're working hard in the Finance Office to achieve some of the goals that Dr. Page listed earlier. We're taking a real hard look at the current budget and matching every employee to the budget, making sure that we have every line item clear and where we're at so that we can report that out to the whole committee. We're looking back at FY15 to find out what our actual numbers were, what we budgeted for FY15, so we can see what we are looking at for the FY16 budget, so that in a couple months when we sit down and we're looking at FY17, we'll have real numbers to go by. We'll know what our actual numbers were for FY15, where we came in at for our budget for 16, and what we can do for 17. We've been working with the town. Karen Harnois has been excellent. We've been meeting every other week or so, looking at issues that have come up, ways that we can clear up some old encumbrances, the old utility bills, things like that. We're working with her on those items. We've processed the paperwork for the science textbooks and made sure that we've got the science textbooks on order and keeping up with that. Working with the town manager's office on the math textbook request and with the council on that. and hopefully we'll have some good news to report when we meet at our next Budget Finance Committee on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Latoya, do you want to provide an update on the Head Start lease at all?
We're working hard on the Head Start lease as well. I don't know, the Head Start has leased the Cole Ave, the former high school, and it's a 20-year lease, so we're in year 2 of that 20-year lease. And we've become landlords to the Head Start program, and it works out well because they are our future students as well. So we're able to see, what we can do and how we can work with them. They've taken over some extra space over the last 6 months or so. We've submitted that to our attorney for updating the lease and getting that lease so that we can be paid for the space that they're using and make sure that we're getting what we deserve on that. And just making sure that the language in there is clear on both parts. We're going to sit down and have a meeting with them as well and look at that and hopefully have that for report at the Budget Finance Committee as well.
Thank you. Mr. Latoya.
Thank you. Moving on to 7D, Superintendent.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Bliss.
Chair. Thank you and good evening, and thank you for the earlier accolade about the opening of school. It is a team effort. However, the administrative cabinet, the faculty, staff, and students just did a remarkable job with the opening of school. It really was quite something, and we're really trying to find ways to recognize the incredible work of our students who have done really a fantastic job of acclimating and assimilating to a lot of new rules and a lot of new expectations, and we're off to a very promising start. So thank you for that accolade, but it certainly isn't one borne by me. It certainly is a team effort. The other is we are, and a little bit off the agenda, we are very much aware of the heat issues that plagued us today and that will continue to plague us for the next 2 days. We're closely monitoring the DPH guidance. The document was provided to all administrators today, and I asked for a midday update on where we stood with respect to each building and heat concerns. Obviously, the middle high school campus has few concerns as they are temperature controlled, but the elementary schools certainly are quite sensitive to the heat. We had a number of classrooms today that the EMS, we were monitoring through Mr. Como, the EMS system all day today, and we did have several classrooms that we had to displace students and have them go to cooler areas of our buildings, including cafeterias and other instructional spaces. And we will, we're in regular contact with Mr. Como. He's deployed as many fans as we have and can deploy, so we're doing the best we can under circumstances. DPH guidance is to treat these kinds of heat situations as we would with any kind of inclement weather, so we'll certainly monitor that, and if there's anything that needs to be done in terms of modifying the school day, that decision will come from my office, as would be the case with any inclement weather. Thank you. Any questions on that, Mr. Chair?
Just one, through you, Mr. Chair, to you, Mr. Bliss. So with the heat cap level, what it is in these buildings, I know that we've deployed the fans and everything. What are we doing to facilitate water in the buildings or to make sure that students are drinking enough water so that we don't have any forms of heat stroke, dehydration, or whatnot?
Taking a lot more frequent breaks in the elementary schools to make sure that students have available water for them, using the bubblers, making sure we're just taking more frequent breaks as well, and taking advantage of, I know the adage is sort of to shut off the lights in the classrooms. The truth is that they don't emanate really heat. So we're doing the best we can in terms of deploying resources in terms of water, making breaks available for students. But there were several classrooms today that were really very hot, and we're doing the best we can.
And in the form of, I guess through the Red Cross, you can get signs of heat stroke or dehydration and stuff like that. I don't know how many of our teachers are trained up on that, if they are, if they aren't. And if there's some way that we can grab some of that kind of information to push out so that they're aware of signs that would occur during these situations if any of these kids are experiencing any of these signs.
Sure. Actually, the DPH guidance is fairly user-friendly. I mean, it really talks about
Okay.
not only temperature guidelines, but also some of the physical and physiological changes
Okay.
that one might experience. So this was pushed out to the cabinet today. We'll make sure it's in the hands of teachers for probably overnight tonight. We'll get it out to them. The other is we were monitoring visits to nurses' offices throughout the campuses throughout the day today. So I have in my office the number of heat-related visits to nurses' offices today as well from each building.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. On other topics, really including your packet is a really beautiful rendition of what the incredible work that really happened at the Charlton Street School playground. And we really want to recognize Mr. Como, Mrs. Champney, as well as the PTA that contributed the money. You sort of have a before and after picture. It's really quite something, and the kids are enjoying this area, and it also provides a lot of emergency preparedness as well. The lines that you see provide us very discernible areas to have students gather from particular classrooms throughout the building. So it serves the dual purpose of not only an enhanced, safe, and organized recreational area, but also an area for emergency response should we ever need that. So we want to thank the parties involved in that, and also extend our thanks to Carl Stores for the donation of a lot of school supplies to both Charlton Street School and to the West Street School. Very much appreciated, and thank you notes are en route to to Carl Stores as well. Included in your packet, you'll find a comprehensive staffing update. It's quite something to look through the changes that occurred throughout our campuses over the course of the summer. And you have all individuals and moves. You had requested that at our last meeting or at one of our previous meetings. We had a hugely successful opening of school, as we alluded to, the beginning of some new traditions here in the school system. And again, things went very smoothly. One of the changes this year is a lot of bus calls and questions were initially fielded by AA Transportation, which seemed to go well. So issues that really sort of flew up the flagpole, as it were, hit Mr. Latoy's office and his support staff to really field a lot of the concerns that AA Transportation did not feel at liberty to field necessarily. I did hear from Lise Zieg, who's with the DESE, concerning the school committee workshop on creating your AIP goal, the school committee's goal for the AIP, for the Accelerated Improvement Plan. And Ms. Zieg, when she communicated to me on Wednesday, the 2nd of September, suggested that it might be prudent to wait until the final determination is made on superintendent appointment to really make sure that whomever is appointed to that position has the ability to work with the school committee and to be able to work on that goal. So I'm not sure if how that's received by the committee, but certainly that was Ms. Zieg's suggestion for your consumption on that. The other is on the quick athletics update. I had pushed out some information through Ms. Capera, through Ms. Earls the other day, just concerning the real strong turnout for the volleyball teams and for the middle school football team. So many thanks to the school committee. I know the negotiation subcommittee had to take up a piece of this. The budget and finance committee had to take up a piece of this. But this has been very well received, and we thank you for that. Just a quick update on that front. I still await a response from the leadership team of the Southbridge Educators Association with respect to the memorandum of agreement that I took a quick stab at, just authoring something that would be, that would memorialize the agreement. And I'm just waiting to hear back from the SEA leadership team on that front. Also, in terms of, and this is just hot off the press, received this today, so I'll just hand this out. Senator Fatman is conducting what's being called a back-to-school listening tour. Sorry about that. And there is an opportunity, so this is more for public consumption, that on September 28th from 6 to 8 o'clock at Shepherd Hill Regional High School, the senator is willing to listen to comments about public education and the state thereof with respect to Dudley, Southbridge, and Webster. So I was asked to make sure this was made public today. So this is being shared with you on TV, and it will also be referenced in communiques from respective schools. And The other project, oh, and the solar update, sorry, I sort of bypassed that. We had a comprehensive meeting last week with, the meeting involved Attorney Stephen Medaus with Merrick O'Connell out of Worcester, and he was representing the town of Southbridge, and I went to the meeting. The town manager was there. Dr. Kevin Kelly was also there from Power Management. And what I have for you is just a very quick, again, hot off the press this afternoon, actually, was just sort of a memorialization of what was discussed at that meeting, and you can certainly review this. One of the key items is that the parcels of land, well, first and foremost, there was agreement based on a discussion that occurred at one of our subcommittee meetings that the notion of having any of these systems mounted on any of the roofs of the schools would be removed from consideration. So essentially, the documents are being rewritten so that we would not have roof-mounted systems. But if you look at the back of the document, you can see the parcels. There's a little spreadsheet. There are parcels of land, and the schools are identified. And essentially, what they've been working on is to recalibrate the scope of the project by taking the system off the roof of the middle high school, by expanding, this will make sense to folks that were at the subcommittee meeting, expanding the solar array that will be actually sited on the campus but not on the rooftop. And what the town manager would like to do is ask Me Link Corporation to do a title search and just to make sure that the parcels of land they're talking about are in fact owned by the town or are in fact under your governance as school committee. So that work I suggested be done before they give a big presentation to the school committee. And the other is I asked them to please have a very crisp redlined version of the contract for your consumption before any presentation is made to the school committee as well, so that you actually have something that's almost ready for prime time before you. And I certainly hope that's okay with the chair and with the school committee. Those were, and we also posted the CPAC meeting on September 30th. So we're excited to have that meeting scheduled as well. So those are my updates. Sorry for the length of that. Thank you.
Busy, busy. Moving on to agenda item number 8, school committee action. A, vote to conditionally approve the overnight field trip to Virginia Beach on April 14, 2016 through April 17, 2016, presented by Dr. David Garcia, band director, pending final approval by the school committee as detailed in the district policy JJH.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion, second discussion. Jill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, either to the superintendent or Dr. Garcia, I should have asked this during the presentation, but I just thought of this now. I think Thursday, April 14th and Friday, April 15th are regular school days. I don't think that's school vacation. Just that the appropriate work will be done by the students that are going on the trip to be completed while they're there or the week after, just so we have that understanding.
I'm sorry, I meant to ask that, Mr. Chair. May I?
Go ahead.
I meant to ask that same question of Dr. Garcia. He is gone, but I'm sure Principal Earls will make a mental note of that. It'll be in the brain box, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 8B. Vote to conditionally approve the overnight field trip to London in April 2017, presented by Ms. Miriam Krantz, Drama Director, pending final approval of the school committee as detailed in district policy JJH. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a second?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Jovan, seconded by Mr. Lebo. Discussion? Mr. Jovan?
Just only because it's not in the actual agenda item, but that this is to take place during the school vacation week, that's all. I don't think we need to amend it, but just that the understanding is that this is a school, not during school time.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to C, proposed use of facilities revolving funds.
Over the weekend, I sent you a memo with respect to a proposed use of some revolving fund monies, and I have a hard copy of this for you this evening, should you so need. There's a copy. I'll let them circulate. We have many competing needs and priorities in the school system. The bulk of those needs and priorities clearly are of an instructional nature. There is something to be said, and something very significant to be said, for school spirit, for school pride, and for being able to take full advantage of a lot of the attributes and assets afforded us real estate-wise at the new school, the middle high school. Historically, we've had an individual who was paid partially through the operating fund, whose job it was really to manage the school store and to really take care of a lot of the display cases and trophy cases and whatnot. Obviously, the competing instructional interests that we have and our inability to really meet those things, we are not proposing use of operating funds to continue that work, but instead are asking the school committee to consider using $16,000 worth of your revolving fund account for really what is a school spirit and facilities type need, which is to get our school store up and running, to bolster the school spirit and school pride, which is very much a fabric of our organization, and to be able to make sure that that is all managed. And it ties intrinsically with, you receive rental income, you receive proceeds for your facilities account. It seems to make sense to administration that this work not happen, but we certainly cannot rationalize using operating funds for this particular expense. So we're asking for your consumption and consideration around $16,000 for this effort.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? No discussion? Mr. Lebo, you had your hand up?
Yes, this is, I only want to see a couple things change. I would like to see more of the school store displayed at the football games and whatnot. Honestly, there's a lot of people that come out to the games, and I know that this person that would be placed in charge of this could probably work that out in some way. That might help out the store a little bit or whatnot, but I think it would also build a lot of spirit there at the games, and I think people would be open to purchasing items there.
That's a good point. Thank you, Mr. O'Leary. Excellent. We'll make sure of that.
Jill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, to the superintendent. Will this be like a one-year kind of job description?
Yes.
And who will oversee this position?
I would probably see that coming through Mr. Latoy's office. There you go, Mr. Latoy, welcome to the dais. But I would see the school store being an extension of the business office or someone of your staff.
It kind of
members.
is now.
Yeah.
They work real close together for the purchasing and depositing the monies and things like that. So it would make sense to just continue that.
So my only recommendation would probably be just to have maybe a written contract for that said position, or,
On an appointment letter.
yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
oh, we would, for sure.
Great. Thank you.
Mr. Latoy, for clarification, with respect to the cash handling procedures in the office, would those funds flow through, particularly like through Ms. Russo's office?
They do now.
Okay.
I don't believe that they don't go through the school treasury. It goes
Right.
through purchasing and receiving in
Good.
the school and in the business office.
Good. And I'm sure that all the appropriate dual controls will be set up and in place. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 8D, vote to appoint a voting delegate and an alternate voting delegate to attend the MASC conference in November 15, 2015. Who would like to be nominated as the member and alternate?
I would be more than happy to go this year as a voting delegate. If nobody else.
Alternate? I thought Mr. Bishop.
I'm not volunteering, thank you, if I may. I am not volunteering. I did have the chance to go the past 2 years, but I know that Mr. Bishop had expressed an interest in attending this year's conference as a new member. So actually, I know he's not present to accept that nomination, but I would nominate him as the
Okay.
alternate.
I'll second that.
We've nominated and seconded Mr. Jovan as the member, and the alternate would be Mr. Bishop. We have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Any further discussion?
Sorry, I thought he was asking.
If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 8E, vote to approve the SMHS clubs for the 2015-2016 school year. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Bliss, you have any comment on this?
No, other than thank you to Ms. Earls for organizing this. I would just remind school committee members that in the new contract, we have athletic stipends, we have academic stipends. These fall under the club stipend. This would be Exhibit 4 in your contract, page 36. It allows for the creation of up to 22, approximately 17-hour clubs at the middle high school. At a rate for a 17-hour club at a rate of $510. So I know that the negotiation subcommittee wants a lot of extrapolation done around the stipends, and we are very much in the process of doing that. The clubs here, that doesn't really touch that group necessarily. What we were looking for is a real close analysis on athletics, and the next page of the contract was advisor stipends. So I wouldn't want school committee to think, isn't this something that's being, intrinsically looked at the negotiation subcommittee? It sure is, but not really club stipends. And moreover, we wouldn't want to hold up these clubs from being able to start. We're 3 weeks into the school year, so I just wanted to make sure that makes sense. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Any further discussion, Mr. Jovan?
Are these a list of all the clubs that we've had in the past? Are these new clubs, or how does it work as far as clubs?
Ms. Earls, would you like to speak to that?
Through you, Chair. It's a combination of clubs that we've had in the past and new clubs for which the students have expressed significant interest and for which advisors or potential advisors have stepped forward.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Ms. Earls, if I may, through the chair, one of the things that we had done in the past in other school districts is very interesting. We've done a postgraduate survey where 1 and 2 years out, we've surveyed our graduates to find out if there are clubs or activities that then graduates took advantage of in a college or university in some post-secondary setting that are things that they never would have really thought they would have a chance to be involved in. And I would love to see us move in the direction of being able to survey graduates 1 and 2 years out for a whole cadre of reasons, not the least of which because there may be some ideas that we get that we may not even have thought of. And I know it was very much a learning opportunity for us in my last district.
And I know the guidance department also was interested in doing an alumni survey
Yeah,
this
that's
year.
great. Thank you, Ms. Earls.
Any further discussion? Thank you very much.
Okay.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda item number 9, unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? If not, moving on to new business, agenda item 10. The next regularly scheduled school committee meeting date will be held Tuesday, September 22nd, 2015, at 7 p.m. in the council chamber. Moving on to 10B, vacancy of the member's seat for the 2015-2016 year. To my knowledge, this is going to be a joint meeting on September 14th, 6 p.m. in the council chamber. Any questions on that?
Just a point of clarification. For some reason, I thought there was a meeting at 6 o'clock that the town council was having to appoint somebody, and our meeting was immediately following that.
There is a point. Mr. Chairman, there is a meeting for the Board of Assessors and the Town Council, and we have a meeting at 6:30, I believe, for the school committee and the Town Council.
I know it did say directly following that meeting, so I don't know.
I believe it was posted for 6:30, though.
Okay. Point of information, 6:30. If, if the assessors meeting goes quickly, it might be sooner, so I'm going to leave it at 6. Moving on to agenda item number 11, members forum. Any members like to bring anything forward? Mr. Lebo?
First off, I would like to say thank you and a great job to Mr. Como and Ms. Champagny and the PTA for their work at the school and redoing that pavement. It looks really awesome, really nice. Thank you for your hard work. I would also like to thank all the administrators, faculty, and staff for a great start to the 2015-2016 year. I hope we keep this momentum moving forward. I would also like to just state that it was a big, just for informational purposes only, is that CPAC meeting is held September 30th, 2015 at 3:30 p.m. at Cole Ave. It wasn't put out, so I just wanted to say that. Also, I want to say good luck to the Pioneers football team for their game against Burncoat this weekend. Go hard or go home, boys. The other sports teams that also will be starting their season this week, go out there and play your hearts out, guys. Make it a great season. That's all I have, sir.
Mr. Jovan.
Just to your point about the open position on the school committee, the deadline to submit any application is tomorrow at 3 p.m., and no electronic submissions would be accepted. You have to go to the town manager's office for a citizen board request. According to the Town of Southbridge website, it says a joint town council school committee meeting will be held on Monday, September 14th at 6:30 p.m. in the council chambers. That's according to the Town of Southbridge official website page. Second item, I've heard a lot of great things about the opening of the school. I've heard a lot of great things about the Head Start program as well. One of the individuals up there had communicated to me that it just seemed like there was a different vibe coming out of our own central office, where they saw members of our administration actively engaged with the younger kids. So thank you up there at that office for that, whoever in your office is doing that. I also like to take this opportunity to, as a school committee member, sometimes we get involved or we see things in the community that people have questions or concerns about. And certainly we take those seriously and try to do the best we can to address them in a timely manner. I'd just like to thank Mr. Latoy, Mr. Como, and our chairman, Mr. Lazo, relative to an issue that kind of surfaced about the use of the middle school soccer fields. It was communicated, again, through social media, and I really hope that people understand that. Feel free to come to any one of us on the school committee if you do have a concern before criticizing any elected body or town official, because we can work things out. And to that end, we did work out the softball, the middle school soccer, youth soccer, not our school soccer, but our youth soccer, where they had communicated that they wanted to use the middle school soccer fields up at the new, well, it's not so new now because it's 3 years old, I'll always consider it new, up at the middle school, high school, which is a great facility. It's watered. And through communication and working this out, and I appreciate the fact that the administration this year went with a compromise to allow Southbridge Youth Soccer to use the facility for the number of games they requested. And I think that's a great compromise. But in communication with our own staff, I've learned that we need to balance the use of all our fields. And to that end, if one was to take a look around at some of our town-owned fields and the lack of some of the maintenance that's done on that, grass grown in the infield, the lower West Street field that's used for soccer that hasn't been watered and really not maintained. I do understand our administration's concerns about the fact that we have these resources that we use every day, and they are town monies, but and the town has their own resources, and we're taking care of our fields, and they shouldn't be overused. So to that point, Mr. Chairman, I would like to, if you give me the okay or this will of this committee, is to maybe form an ad hoc committee that, as a school district and a school community, we reach out to the town side and discuss all of our fields and what the fields are going to be used, when they're going to be used, how we can partnership, because we have come up with this, we've always talked team concept, how we can team up with the town side and make all our fields looking great, but that they're all used on a regular rotation basis. So it's great that the Southbridge Youth Soccer can use those middle school fields, and I know it's a source of pride for some of those kids up there that are playing on those fields to showcase that, but I think we need to really come up with an overall plan, and perhaps with the person that you put into that facilities position for 1 year, maybe if they would be willing to sit in with us as well as part of that facilities use, to work that in as well. I would like to see that going forward, Mr. Chairman.
On that point, I had no problem. We've talked, and to have an ad hoc committee, I would love to join you on that committee to have a summit of all the youth sports, the presidents of, it's not just a soccer issue, it's a Little League issue, it's a Pop Warner issue, it's every sport that we have. Once we built the middle high school, and Mr. Jovan was instrumental in joining, he was part of the team that did it, one of the leaders, and we thought that we would be freeing up a lot of fields, and we did. But I think that we have to inventory the use and inventory the turf and come to a common consensus with the town side on the maintenance end of it, because it turns into a budget issue, and it's going to end up in Dr. Page's subcommittee. We cut the budget, and then all of a sudden we want all this stuff done. It doesn't balance. But I think your intent is excellent, and you and I will be talking about it. We'll form an ad hoc committee. I'd love to serve with you on that. But the main thing is that the problem is solved, and moving forward, we'll deal with the future issues with the town side. Thank you. Anything else under members' forum? Dr. Page.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to send a thank you really to the town council for their recognition of what I felt like, and some of us all felt like, were some overlooked deficiencies in our budget and the appropriation we had for instructional materials for the school district, and the town gave us a capital appropriation to acquire science textbooks. We very much appreciate that appropriation, and we really felt like we needed to assess the situation very seriously. We brought people in that had expertise in how to match that resource addition that was not an expectation, and to what our immediate needs were. And I just want to say that this committee is committed to giving our students, to the best of our ability, the resources that we feel they need, coming up through the proposals, through the teachers, principals, department heads, and ultimately through the superintendent to us as requisitions. And it's our job to do what we can to get that done. And I very much would like to thank the town council in advance for the appropriation. I know it's going to be, there's going to be some additional alterations that we have suggested, and I look forward to seeing that those resources getting in the hands of our students. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
If I may tag your comments, just a point of information. We had a meeting with the Education and Human Services Subcommittee on council side. We are going to be meeting with them quarterly. At the last meeting, to Dr. Page's credit, he did a presentation of the budget. Ms. Condon did a presentation on the search. Mr. Jovan from policy was there, myself and the superintendent, and I think that the relationship between the town board and the school board is going to improve. And I think it's the goodwill and dealing in good faith as we do going forward in our quarterly meetings to report back. We are basically a committee under the council, much like the police department and the fire department. The thing is, they have bottom line responsibility with us. So I think working hand in hand is just the beginning stages, as you talked about your vision of shared services and stuff at the meeting. So I think a job well done by all the players that were at the meeting. And thank you very much for that. Great job. Anything else on the members' forum? Ms. Condon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to commend Mr. Bliss and the entire district team on a great opening of school and a good open house. I think that the culture and climate I felt has changed. It was like stepping into a different school district when I was present at the open house. I happened to be at West Street School. The building was sparkling. Everyone was very positive and upbeat. Everyone was smiling. I felt that the focus was placed on the students for the first time in a long time in this district. I've gotten compliments from staff, from families, from students, and I just feel that right now we're on the right path to improving the district. And I wanted to commend everybody who's had a part in that. I've never received so many positive comments. I've been out to dinner with my family and had staff come up to me where in the past they've pretty much put their heads down and tried to walk the other way. So I just wanted to thank everyone for all of their hard work. I know it hasn't been easy, but I want to thank everyone for sticking through the hard times and for remaining positive and for focusing on the students of this community and the school district. I've had compliments from parents regarding seeing a change in how students are being disciplined, and I feel that's a credit to the administrative team at all of the schools. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for working so hard. I know it hasn't been easy. Thank you.
I did have one more thing, Mr. Chair. A member of our Pioneer family and her family were involved in an accident over this holiday weekend, and I just wanted to say that our continued thoughts and prayers are with the family as they continue to heal or are closely monitored, and that the doctors and those who are working on her family and that they may know what they're doing and that they may be able to get them through this. And just wanted to say that we're thinking about you, we're praying for you.
Thank you. Anything else on the members' forum? If not, moving on to executive session. A, pursuant to Massachusetts General Law C 30A 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the government's bargaining or litigation position as the chair so declares. 1, Southbridge Education Association, Unit A, Unit C. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
So motion, a second?
Mr.
All those in-
Lazo?
Yes?
Dr. Olivo? I mean, Mr.
Mr.
Olivo,
Olivo?
sorry.
But yes, thanks for the
Page?
promotion.
Dr. Page?
Yes.
Mrs. Congdon?
Yes.
Mr. Jovian?
Yes.
5 yes.
It's unanimous to go into executive session. I would like to notify the public we will be coming out into open session for the simple agenda item of adjournment. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.